It's the Elsa Kurt Show with Clay Novak. Conservative views on world news. Brought to you by the Wellness Company. Prepare for the unexpected. And Refuge Medical. And now, it's time for the show.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Elsa Kurt Show with Clay Novak. We are excited to be here. How you doing, Clay?
I'm doing good. We've got this is a great lineup. This is a very kind of full spectrum. We're kind of all over the place tonight. I like it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to get right down to it right after this. So we have so much fun picking out topics. I think it's fun, probably because I make you do most of the heavy lifting for it.
Did a lot today. I threw in 3. You came back with 5. We settled on 7.
I think 7. Yeah.
I think we're good.
We did good. Yeah. So right off the top, and so I'm going to be honest with you about this one, and I don't think you or anyone else watching is going to be overly surprised. When you proposed this one, I went, well, that doesn't sound very exciting. Let me go see what that's all about. And I went, Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
We've got some implications here. This might be a little bit of a big deal. So it is a big deal because, well, first of all, you're going to have to walk me through it anyhow, and maybe some other people. I know I'm not the only one that needs a little walking through. Let's talk about what went on here, why it's a big deal. It expired on the 9th, right? Like it's already done.
Yes. Yeah, it's gone. It's gone.
Okay.
So this is an agreement that was established in 1974. It's a 50-year agreement. And on paper, it was always a 50. We knew that the end date for this was coming, or at least a discussion for a renewal or whatever. So this didn't creep up on anybody and just pop in there, and it's not a surprise. So in 1974, the Saudi government agreed with the U.S. government. The agreement was that in exchange for U.S. military supplies, support, training, all of those things, which has become relevant, oh, by the way, a couple of times in the last, 35, 40 years, in exchange for that, they would mandate that any oil bought from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia was purchased with U.S. dollars, U.S. currency, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So why does that matter? That matters because anybody who bought oil from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia had to have U.S. dollars to do it with. So they, in turn, had to do some sort of business dealings with a U.S. company or the U.S. government or such and such. So it drove up international trade, international business, because all of it was being done with the U.S. dollar so that they could buy Saudi oil. That was the whole
Which drives up our value, right?
Value of the dollar globally,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just us, not just locally, globally, right?
Yeah.
And we had, and I know a lot of people who did some great advisory work and some educational work and some other things in Saudi Arabia for decades. I know guys who were doing it way back in the 90s and even guys who did a little bit before that. I'm not that old, so I don't know guys back in the 70s, but tons of training, professional education, equipment fielding. There has always been a great relationship between the U.S. military and the Saudi military. And again, in 1990, Iraq invades Kuwait. We go into Saudi Arabia. They're side by side with us. We use them as it's a launching pad for the invasion to, free Kuwait and push the Iraqis back across the border. Fast forward 2003, same thing happens all over again, yada, yada, blah, 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 right? So militarily, it's a great relationship, always has been. Economically, this was huge. And now it's gone. So Saudi Arabia now can sell oil to anyone in the world using whatever currency they agree with. And the expectation, and this is, I won't claim to ever be an economist, right? I've always been too poor to be an economist. But the introduction of crypto is the new twist in this. So the expectation is the two biggest currencies to replace the U.S. dollar in purchasing of Saudi oil is cryptocurrency in whatever form or fashion, whatever, because there's, I don't know how many dozens of different cryptocurrencies,
right?
Cryptocurrency and gold. So the
Oh,
potential for the gold, the value of gold to go up,
right.
is out there as well. So for you investors, maybe somebody can jump in the chat and give Elsa and I some investment advice. But I
Yeah,
think on the surface,
please.
um,
Thank you.
watch the value of cryptocurrency, and then watch the value of gold, because it's
Mhm.
probably going to go up,
So why would we let that expire?
because our current administration sucks. That's the
Oh, okay.
yeah. The nuts
I
and
mean,
bolts of it.
that would have been my guess, but I'm like, listen, maybe there's a good reason. It was silly of me to even hope that there would be
No.
a good reason. Have they, and I haven't seen this, and I'm sorry for not doing enough research on this. Have they released any kind of statement? Have they said anything
I've seen
about whatsoever?
no. I've seen absolutely nothing. It came. There was some alarm bells that went off in the days and weeks leading up, because
Right.
people knew this was like I said, it's a 50-year-old agreement. It's been on the books for a
Mm,
long time. This was not a pop-up surprise. So people
right.
saw this coming. The defense industry saw it coming because it affects them, right?
Right.
The the petroleum industry, right? There's a lot of people that this had impact on. So they were all watching it. They all knew it was coming. There were a lot of alarm bells thrown out there, and our administration did nothing to try and talk to the Saudis to sway them to re-engage this. I have my personal opinion is, if we'd put forth any effort whatsoever to reestablish,
Mhm.
renew, even renegotiate this with the Saudis in some fashion, I think we would have
Right.
been successful. They're a great ally,
Mhm.
have been for a long time, and I
Right.
don't think it would have taken much effort to reinitiate this agreement.
Sure.
But the administration essentially did nothing of value to try and keep this on the books.
So, I mean, so there's no reason to think there would be like some behind closed doors discussion that Saudi Arabia was like, listen, we're gonna decline, but we don't want to embarrass you publicly, so we'll let you. Like, I mean, I don't know who that would benefit. Like, I don't understand how and what way this could benefit us. I guess it couldn't harm them really any,
Not
right?
no.
This change,
It
it
actually
affects them,
totally opens the market for them, right?
right?
They can accept whatever agreeable currency they choose to. So if they're
Okay.
gonna, sell to, pick your country,
Mm-hmm.
they can use, Russian rubles. They can
Yeah.
use, drachmas. They can use. I mean, they
Right.
can use whatever they want, whatever that country is willing to pay them in, as long as they agree to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy. This opens
Yeah.
everything up for Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
It totally wrecks us. Well, I shouldn't say wrecks us, but it's going to have a significant impact on the dollar, the value of the dollar globally, the U.S. dollar.
Right. But listen,
So, but
this
again, I'm not.
administration is really not doing anything at all to destroy America. They're not doing anything to destroy it. I mean, they're literally
Yeah,
not doing anything. They're really way too busy raising pride flags and doing all kinds of really important work.
let me. So what you said actually is very important, depending on how
Mhm.
you said they're not doing anything to destroy America. They're not doing anything in order to destroy America. They're doing
Yes.
nothing purposefully to destroy America.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that is really what it boils down to. The economy is, it, this is unbelievable. It's an unbelievable flip in 3.5 years from where we were. It's been
Oh,
beaten to death. Everybody says just look at gas prices, but look at the price of everything, right?
right.
And we all know this, and it hurts everybody,
Yeah.
and this is all over mean tweets. I still
Mhm.
believe in my heart that people didn't like it because of the mean tweets, and that's why they voted
Right.
for Biden. And
Yeah.
now we're all economically suffering because of that stupidity.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Absolutely. Here we are. It's really it's just shocking to witness and to actually being forced to be a participant in, because it's obviously affecting us all, and it's just crazy to me. And this topic specifically, this one tonight, is so ironic to me that it's the one that I was like, this doesn't sound like fun to talk about. Big deal, whatever. Wow, this is
Yeah.
the implications of this are pretty massive for us, really.
Yeah, and this is to reverse this. I don't know. President Trump's done a lot of things. Listen, nobody can. It's very hard to argue his economic policies and how good they were for the United States. This
Mhm.
one is going to be hard to kind of put back on the books. I think. I
Yeah.
really do. I don't know what kind of agreement once he gets into office, because we're both convinced that's going to happen.
Yes.
I don't know
Yes.
what kind of business dealings he can do to rectify this,
Right.
but I hope there's a plan in place to get in touch with the King of Saudi Arabia and make some sort of adjustment.
Yeah. I mean, the business and the economic field is really his expertise.
Yes.
So hopefully when he gets in, he can fix this. I mean, that man has a full plate, to say the
Oh,
least. I mean,
yeah.
wow.
His to-do list
Wow.
is huge.
It is insane. And
It's
knowing
huge.
what we huge.
Yeah.
And what we know of him, he's just chomping at the bit to get in there
Sure.
and get started.
Oh, yeah.
So, which is, exactly what we need him to do. I mean, we need him to be basically already working right now and just ready to, dot those or cross those T's. I don't think there's any, no, there's no I's to dot. So,
You remember what
yeah.
happened last time, though? Last time they did this, right?
Mhm.
Before he took office in 2016, right? People got
Yeah.
on the phones, they started making phone calls, and then what happens,
Mhm.
right? They get put
Yep.
on trial. They get put on
Yes.
trial. They get put on trial for some law from the 1800s that nobody's even talked about in 150
Right.
years, right? But that's where we're at.
Yeah.
So yes, he's
That's where
chomping
we're
at the
at.
bit. Yes, he has a lot to do. I think he'll probably be a little more cautious about getting ahead of himself. But yeah, there are things to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of issues he's going to have to deal with. Come on, man. Right? I mean, another example, right, of the world and world leaders, and especially the big, bad, scary ones, seizing an opportunity to, mark their fire hydrants, basically, right?
Yeah. So I mean, if you think like it's like 1962 all over again. Like it's
Yeah.
Russia, it's Cuba, it's North Korea, and it's
Mhm.
China. Like they're all
Right.
like Putin just went to North Korea. Like this just
Mhm.
happened. It is nice, but the Cuban Missile Crisis. This is not quite that, but it's close. And
Right.
here's why. Here's the technology of it. Is these two? They sent I think it's a frigate. I'm not a Navy guy. Like they're all boats to me. I know
Yeah.
they get mad because they're supposed to be ships and whatever. They're all boats. Like you have submarines and then you have boats, and that's my
Yeah.
naval knowledge right there. They did
More
send
than mine.
yeah, I think they sent I think it's a frigate, but it's a missile, a ship with missile launching capabilities and
Right.
a brand new submarine
Yep.
to Cuba, right?
Right.
Which, okay, it's international waters or it's, into a harbor, of an
Mhm.
ally. We do that stuff all the time. The
Sure.
proximity of 90 miles from the US coast makes it a little bit, twitchy. But
Yeah.
what makes it very twitchy is the capabilities that these two ships carry.
Mhm.
So they both carry I think it's called the Zircon. But
Okay.
it's a hypersonic missile. Okay. For those that don't know what that means, that missile and the technology on board will allow that thing to travel at 9 times the speed of sound.
Jeez.
7,000 miles an hour. Now, there's a little bit of delay at launch, and then
Mhm.
it slows because it is guided, right? This isn't just a launch and fire and forget like
Right.
like an artillery shell. This is like it can still, it's a smart missile, right?
Mhm.
So it flies super super fast, and then it slows down right before it gets to its target, makes some adjustments, and drops in. Right? Cuba to southern tip of Florida is 90 miles.
90 miles.
That's 45 seconds of flight time. 45 seconds. Sitting in a harbor in
45
Cuba,
seconds.
push the button,
Yeah.
45 seconds, 60
Yeah.
seconds max, it's hitting Miami. 60 seconds.
That's insane. Everybody needs to take a moment.
Yeah.
Let that sink in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like zero reaction time. Zero.
Right.
And oh, by the way, nuclear capable.
Mhm.
You can put a
Yes.
nuclear warhead on those things. They can erase Miami in 60 seconds, right?
Wow.
Zero response time. So that's why this matters. But this is Putin flexing his muscles as he's apt to do, right? As all of his predecessors have been apt to do, right? Gorbachev all the way back.
All of them.
But we are in a worldwide known weakened state. We just talked about economically, we dropped the ball with the Saudis.
Yes.
Right. And now you've got, militarily, we've got some known weaknesses, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, we talked a while back about enrollments being down. We talked about, resources being spread thin, finances, money going out like through a sieve, to
Ukraine and everybody else.
Yeah, everybody says, who wants money? Anybody who wants money? We've got some. No, we don't. But here you go. Yeah, I mean, that's what they're doing,
And so, these two ships are down there, and they said they're going to be down there for some training maneuvers and some other things. And, our Navy and even the Coast Guard haven't been shy about saying, well, that's fine. As soon as they're, in international waters, we're going to track them. And we're going to make them nervous because we're going to track them. You're not making them nervous because they know you're not going to do anything.
Right.
Like, that submarine is going to play hide and go seek in the Caribbean and have fun doing it because they know it doesn't matter. They know nothing is going to happen to them. And that frigate too, they're going to sail through international waters. They'll probably get, what's the limit? I think it's 50 miles or something like that. They can get with, up to 50 miles, I think is the boundary. They'll get to 51 miles, drop anchor and park there, and they won't care. Right. They're not scared of us.
No,
this is not, years past. This is not administrations of years past. There's no strength right now, and they know it. And that's what he's doing.
Absolutely.
That's what Putin's doing.
We've got a bumbling idiot in charge, and I'm taking us out of the order I originally said, because this makes more sense. But, right? Yeah. I mean, let's talk. What? And more jaw dropping is the Biden administration, the Biden camp saying, constantly, oh no, it's all, fake video.
He's fine.
He's fine. Those right-wing loonies, they doctored those videos. It didn't really happen. Yes, it did. And then the audacity, like, this is the ultimate in gaslighting, the audacity to say those right-wing, reckless, bad people, they are doctoring those videos and editing them to make it look a certain way. And then they're like, this is really what happened. It's the same video. It's the same video. Same exact thing. It's just so wacky. I've got a couple for you here. So first of all, I think this is in order. So we talked about last week was the whole D-Day debacle with him, just doing these bizarre things, embarrassing things. And then we move right on to the G7 summit. And here's this moment for anybody who may have missed it. So now the Biden team is like, you doctored that, you edited it so that you couldn't see that he was just going over to check out the other paratroopers there. He was just going to take a look at them. And okay, sure, I'll give that to you. Okay, sure, that's what you want to call it. Okay, that's what he was doing. Doesn't change the fact that he wandered off away from what everyone else was doing, which nothing that is going on is willy-nilly like, hey, what do you think? Should we go over here and watch it? No, everything is very orchestrated, planned to the minute. And you know what I mean? So it's not like this was just some casual random moment. This was a planned, orchestrated thing. We are all going to watch this guy do his thing, roll up his stuff, whatever, he landed, blah, blah, blah. And then, whatever. And the prime minister of Italy had to go over there. Like, did you see the whole, or like the whole, if you could just imagine what the conversation was. And it was like, well, are you going to, did you see who's going to, you do it. I'm not gonna
Somebody
do
go
it.
get him.
Go get him.
Somebody
And
go
she
get
was
him.
like, and she's like, okay, fine, I'll go get him. You know, I don't know. I have no idea how she talks. It was terrible of me. But she goes over and she takes him by the arms. Like, come on, over here, come on.
Yep.
And he toddles along, you know, and then there's that, you know. So then we move on to, do I have this in order? So I don't know actually if the order is right, but we're going to go on to this one right here.
People would ask me, knowing what you know now, do you wish like you had a third term? And I used to say, you know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine.
Yeah. So if you were distracted by the puppet master saying how he would be the puppet master, and you missed out on the split screen there where, so he's on stage, Joe Biden, Jimmy Kimmel, tool, and Obama, he's such a tool. I can't stand that guy. I would use another word, but I'm trying to be good. And but y'all know what I wanted to say. Or you could take your pick.
Show.
Yeah, exactly. Co-host of the Man Show. Yes. Let's never forget that.
Yeah.
We should never forget that. But yeah, so they're on stage. It's like a fundraiser thing they're doing. And Biden was doing okay for like a couple minutes there. A minute before, he's like giving the thumbs up to people and doing the wave, you know, the little scarecrow man wave. And then it gets to a point where, you know, they're kind of making their way off stage and Biden freezes. He just stands, you know, arms down at his side and just hanging there. And Obama sees it and goes over and takes his arm. He doesn't grab his arm, but he takes his arm, gives it a little shake even. I watched this video many times over. Takes his arm, gives it a little shake, like, come on, hey, snap out of it, buddy, and walks him off stage like a repeat of, you know, the Prime Minister of Italy. Same exact thing like this. So they have coordinated that they've orchestrated this. This has been conversations like, if this happens, we're going to do this. If this happens, we're going to do that. And this is the go-to move. Jill has escorted him off stages and platforms and things many times now. And this is another example of it. And once again, the left, including, of course, the White House administration, is like, you doctored that video. You edit it to make it look bad. Well, I literally, and I don't have it for you here right now. I'm going to post it later. I took what the White House version, what they're sharing, I took that version and watched that. And very conveniently, at the moment or seconds after he starts the freeze posture, they cut back to a super far angle, like way far that they look like ants on a stage. Like it's so far back, and then cut back in as they're walking off.
Of course.
But the right doctored the video, not them. It's not even doctored. It's just edited to cut out parts that they don't want you to see. But holy cow, it's just madness. And then we're going to top it off. You know, we had like 3 solid incidents here. We're going to top it off. Is this the one? Yes, it is. Okay. And we're topping it off with this one. I mean, what the actual heck? See how good I'm doing? What was happening? Everybody's face, the Pope's face.
So they've already started calling the G7 summit the G6 summit because Biden keeps wandering off. They literally have eliminated us because he's not present. They're like, it's just G6. It's the US is useless. They're out, right?
Yeah.
The Obama thing, listen, I will criticize President Obama for a lot of things. Stupid is not one of them, right? That man, he is a bright man. He assesses the situation. He sees things for what they are, and he knows, truthfully, exactly how to react in public. Now he's not real good behind closed doors about making decisions, but in public eye, like he was at that fundraiser, that guy's dead on. So he did, he knew what to do. He tried to make this as casual as possible. He probably should have got a little bit closer to him before he did the sleeve tug.
Yes.
I saw exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
He kind of gave him the old, come on,
Right. Come on, buddy. Pal of mine. Yeah.
But so the kicker too about the Pope thing is President Biden, who claims to be such a great Catholic, right?
Right.
And I know you're Christian, not Catholic. I grew up Catholic. Right? If you're a Catholic and he claims to be a very good Catholic, I don't care if you're the president or not. When you meet the Pope, the first thing you do is kiss the ring. I don't care. Like, that's it. That's how it works.
Right.
But what did we get out of that? We got, and he basically headbutted him. He like rested his head on him, and you could tell that the
bizarre.
Pope was so uncomfortable. Like, it was so weird. I was waiting. If the Pope had hair, he probably would have sniffed it. This is proof positive that he is just incapable of putting any of this stuff together when the meds wear off, and it seems like the meds are wearing off very quickly now. Or they've got the dosage very, very wrong. And now I'm going to take us out of order because really, when we talk about this and his incapable, him being incapable of acting properly in public, this is going to come to fruition and become very, very apparent for the debate. Yes. Rules or no rules. And actually the rules, I think, do not help President Biden.
No, not at all. Not at all. What are they getting? So are they getting like, I think it's 2 breaks. Hang on. I have like the breakdown here, the list of rules. Let's see. See, my notes are out of order. Okay, so it's going to be a 90-minute debate in Atlanta. It's going to include 2 commercial breaks. So 2 commercial breaks, 90 minutes. This guy has got to hang in there for 90 minutes. Let's see, during which time Biden and Trump will not be able to interact with their staff. Their positions at the podium will be determined by a coin flip. Microphones will be muted throughout the debate, except for when it's time for a candidate's turn to speak, which I actually think is fantastic. I could not stand in any debate. I can't stand the talking over, the interrupting, all that stuff. I just find it to be, whoever's doing it, I find it to be classless and, just embarrassing and not amusing at all. So I'm glad for that. But how in the heck is this guy going to do 90 minutes? Now, he did 90 minutes, or was it 90 minutes for his State of the Union? I'm trying to remember. It was shorter.
Just short, but not by much. It was over an hour, but less than 90.
Okay.
There was no break in that. They obviously pumped him full of something, right?
Yes.
And I know that President Trump, I don't know if he was joking or serious, but he had proposed, a drug test beforehand.
I'm pretty sure he was serious.
Yeah. But
knowing though that it wasn't going to happen. I mean, he knew it wouldn't happen.
Sure. But I think so, the podiums are going to be uniform, which I think is interesting, right? So you're going to see a very gaunt, very skinny, right, President Biden, who's probably going to be holding on to that thing for dear life. And then you've got President Trump, who, listen, he's not the fittest guy in the world, but he's a big dude, right? And he's a big
fella.
Listen, he can go play 18 holes of golf. Like he's in a lot better physical shape than President Biden is. That's for sure.
Right.
But the muting of the mics, I agree with you. We talked about that during the Republican debates, how annoying that was.
So annoying.
So I'm happy about that as well. I also think that is going to benefit President Trump because there can be no claims of, you misunderstood, or you couldn't hear him because of President Trump, or this or that. That microphone's muted. President Trump's microphone is muted. The only person you're going to hear is President Biden because, by the way, there's also no audience. There's no applause.
I don't think I realized that.
Yeah,
okay.
There's no distraction. There's no noise to cover up beep, 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 as he's standing there at the microphone, which is what we're going to get. It may not be in the first 30 minutes. It may not even be in the second 30 minutes. But in that last 30 minutes, if I was President Trump and his staff, my entire strategy would be beat him up for the first 60 and then go completely silent for the last 30 and just let him hang himself. because
Brilliant. Yeah.
he is going to be smoked. He's going to be so tired. The
Yeah.
meds are going to be worn off. He is going to
Right.
make a fool out of himself.
Yep.
The only thing that would make it worse is if he lets go of the podium and walks away, which I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, given the level of deterioration that this guy has displayed over just the past few weeks. I mean, never mind the months and years, but just the past few weeks, the level of deterioration
Yeah.
is so drastic and stark. I don't, I cannot fathom how they're going to do it. And I guess, the big, low key rumor is that, that the Democrats are basically, they're just waiting to see how this goes before they make their decision, if they're really going to put him forward or not. And this is going to be like the deciding factor. I think they're, supposedly they're figuring like, all right, if he can at least get through it, if we can get him through it on his feet and, not wandering off during the middle of a sentence, then we'll stick with him. And if it would have to, completely derail and tank for them to move them along, but we'll see. And then what that means, I don't know. Does that mean Kamala or what?
Yeah, I don't listen. They don't have to get him this debate. He can't. It doesn't matter if he can get through the debate or not. Like
Right.
like this should not be the determining factor. Like we
Right.
just showed
Yes.
3 clips that should be enough for them to determine he can't do this.
Yeah.
But yes, I think. And maybe this is the setup. We've been talking about it for months, right? That
Right.
at the last minute they're going to swap him out, or
Mhm.
some health, something's going to pull him out of the race. And maybe
Yeah.
this is it. Maybe this has been the setup the whole time. But do they really think this is the only debate that they're going to have between now and November?
Right.
Like he's going to have to do this again, and
Yeah.
maybe another time after that. But there's
Mhm.
at least one more after this one, and with
Yep.
his rate of decline, like you talked about, it's going to be worse.
It's going to be worse. And that's,
Ugh.
I mean, that's exactly what happens with, and now listen, I'm not a doctor. I have no medical blah, blah, blah. I haven't examined him, yada, yada, yada. But by the casual observer, which I think, about half of America and most of all of the other countries would say that this guy's got legit dementia. Like he is in severe cognitive and physical decline. And as that progresses, it only gets worse, obviously. And that decline gets sharper and more drastic. And I think that's what we're seeing, and of course the left is like, you're crazy. He's fine. Sharp as a tack.
I just they're gonna, and we've talked about this too. Like there's a timeline associated. If
Mhm.
they replace him, there's a timeline, because it
Right.
can't be last minute. We talked a couple of weeks ago about Ohio, right?
Yes,
Ohio's
that's right.
the 5th of August. So they've got to make a decision before the 5th
Mhm.
of August, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, invalidated candidate, I'm sure that, they'll claim some medical emergency and they'll have to blah, blah, blah. It would be all of
Right.
those things. But, they can't count on that unless they're buying the entire state of Ohio. But
Mhm.
they do have to make a decision before then. So if they're going to tank him, then it's
Mhm.
got to be before then. And this debate, you're right. I mean, that actually makes sense when you put it against the calendar to say
Mm.
that this is the one where they're going to have to make a decision. And
Yeah.
yeah, this may be it.
It's crazy. I can't believe that this is what we're witnessing in our history. Like this is our history. This is like when we're in our rocking chairs. I remember when.
We thought
And
hanging chads were a bad thing. Like this is nuts compared to that.
this is nuts. This is
Yeah.
nuts. I mean, we all have this like life size or drive-in. Isn't there's the young people, maybe I don't even know what a drive-in is, but something the size of a drive-in movie screen of a bingo card. Like our bingo cards are so full,
Yeah.
and there are words on there that sound like they came out of Joe Biden's mouth, like things that just don't even make any sense, but yet they're really what we're living through.
Where we're at.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's bananas.
Yeah.
Let's see. So we went out of order. So who do we want to go back to? You want to go back to
Yeah.
to Morgan?
Let's the voice of God, right? He, I mean, and he's literally played God,
Yeah.
I think more than once, or at least in a couple of different movies or scenarios. But he
Yep.
has had, listen, for those of you that don't know, Morgan Freeman, this is not a new stance for him. This just
Right,
kind of
no.
cycles itself back into public,
Mhm.
viewing every so often. Usually it's around February.
Yeah. But he was
but
just asked about it this past
just
weekend, I guess.
last weekend,
Yeah.
asked about, history, Black History Month,
Mhm.
about, the plight of the African American, some other things. And he despises African American History Month, Black History Month.
Yeah.
And he doesn't despise it, because people have taken this quote out of context. He doesn't despise
Yes.
it because it's the shortest month of the year, right?
Mhm.
Which
Right.
he does mention that, but if you listen to
Mhm.
the whole thing, he's got a very good explanation for it. But regardless, his belief is and always has been American history is American history. It's not Black history.
Right.
It's not white history. History is history. And as long as you're studying history, then everybody's included, and that's what matters. He also
Mhm.
believes that racism goes away when you stop talking about it.
Mhm.
Like, if people would stop, and again, these are his words, you stop
Yeah.
calling me a Black man, I'll stop calling you a white man. We'll stop talking about it. And eventually people just won't even think about it and it'll go away. And he's a
Right.
firm believer in that. He's been saying it
Yeah.
for decades. He's been saying this.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes, he has.
so with this being, Pride Month, right?
Mhm.
It's June, it's Pride Month. And then let's see. So we're oddly recording on a Monday night. Okay. Normally
Yes.
tell you this all
That's
the
right.
time. We record on Tuesday, drops on Thursdays. This week, Elsa's a world traveler, so she's on an airplane again.
I
So we're
threw
recording
us
on
off
Monday night,
schedule again.
right? But Wednesday is the newest federal holiday, Juneteenth,
Mhm.
which is, I think, what brought this up with Morgan Freeman. Okay.
Yes.
So you got
Oh,
Juneteenth.
you're right. That's exactly what.
You
Yeah.
got Juneteenth, right? Which is, the end of slavery and and everything
Mhm.
associated with that as a federal holiday, smack dab in the middle of Pride Month. So
Right.
the question is that Elsa and I have thrown at each other, and I'd love to see people's opinions on this, right?
Mhm.
In the chat, message us. I love this discussion. Is how
Yeah.
do you feel about these months? And when I say that, I'm not just talking about Pride Month, and I'm not talking
Right.
about African American Black History Month. I'm talking about
Mhm.
Asian American Pacific Islander Month. I'm talking about Women's History Month. I'm talking
Right.
all of these, months, that we use to acknowledge and celebrate and kind of bring to light, accomplishments and those sorts of
Mhm.
things. How do we feel about these, good or bad? Like, where do
Yeah.
you sit on this?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has just gotten outright silly, and I'm going to give you an example here. Now, let's just go with February, okay? Because February, as you said, is Black History Month. Well, here's what Black History Month shares the month of February with. It shares this national recognition with things like, and I kid you not, Canned Food Month, um, Great American Pies Month, National Bake for Family Fun Month, National Cat Health Month, National Bird Feeding Month, Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, Turner Syndrome Awareness Month. There's well over a dozen things, and that goes for each month. You have something of significance, meaningful. I am actually a fan of like things like particularly I'll say Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Those ones I'm kind of a fan of. But things I think like Black History Month or any nationality, ethnicity, any of those things, I personally would say I have a problem with those. I'm not a fan of those. And I don't think that we should have them because I think it's more divisive than it is unifying. I don't think I agree with Morgan Freeman. I mean, you're relegating a whole people's history value to a month that you're sharing it with Canned Food Month or something stupid, whatever it was. It's actually insulting. It's highly insulting, I think, and everybody in this country, like he said, or paraphrasing really, it's all of our history. It's our shared history. It's our collective history. And yes, absolutely. There are parts of that history that are ugly to look at, that we don't like to, magnify and look at, but we need to know the history, our everybody's in this country. And I just think it's gotten out of hand. What do you think?
So I'm going to throw you a pun.
Okay.
I'm literally throwing you a curveball, and here's why.
Literally.
So Major League Baseball just recently took all of the records from the Negro Leagues and meshed them into all of the records from the history of Major League Baseball.
Okay.
So now there is only one baseball history, one professional baseball history.
Wow.
Now, is there still, stats for, purely Negro League teams, purely Negro League players? Yes, but they are met with the rest of Major League Baseball. So players who played in both, their career stats and records and things are now, total. But they've meshed them all together. So there's one history.
Right. Wow.
So we have an interesting twist in that the drive for that was recognition in the history of baseball. They didn't want it separated anymore. They wanted it comparative because I think there was a push or a movement, for people to say, well, so-and-so is the best pitcher of all time. Well, what about so-and-so? Well, well, he played in the Negro Leagues. He didn't play Major League Baseball, blah, blah. No. He's better. So-and-so, because, baseball people of all sports people are the worst stat heads ever.
I've heard this. Yeah.
So they've taken all the stats and they've meshed them together, right? Which really kind of proves Morgan Freeman's point. History is history.
History is history.
It doesn't matter. History is history, right? So I'm not a fan of months because I think it's one of those, we lose perspective. Like in any month, like 30 days, 31 days worth, in the case of February, 28 or 29 days worth, it loses its impact.
Sure.
Plus, I think there's a little bit of a skewed perspective on some things. Listen, hits close to me personally. We have one Veterans Day.
Right.
Veterans Month. We have one Veterans Day.
Right. Yeah.
Period. Right. So there's those sorts of things. Now, and again, some other things that hit close to home with me. There's Mental Health Awareness Month, PTSD Awareness Month, which was the same month.
Right.
But and those hit close to me, just like the ovarian cancer thing hits close to you, right? And I think the awareness piece of it is important, but I think whole months are probably overkill.
Right.
But I am a believer in that if you are going to truly study history, when you start to segregate. And listen, history is a very broad topic. And yes, you have to drill down into specific things at specific times, but it's always in relation to something else. If you take isolated incidents out of history, you're losing the perspective, the pluses and minuses, befores and afters, cause and effect, all that stuff. So when you break it apart, Black History Month, like I said, was it Asian American Islander, Pacific Islander Month, you know, like that, all of that stuff taken out of context.
Right.
I personally think it loses something. So I'm not a fan of the months. I am a fan of studying, celebrating history, achievements, accomplishments, all of that is very, very important. But I think that we've gone overboard. I mean, what is it? Cat food history awareness month.
Like cat something or other. Yeah. Cat wellness.
It's absurd. Like we've gone over.
And it diminishes ones that are more impactful, that have more of a more of an impact on people, like Black History Month. And it's just, I think it's just so insulting to put, your cat food month or cat health month in the same thing. Like, who picks these things? First of all, like, who decides this stuff? It's just silly. Like,
they're not Hallmark holidays, but they're pretty close.
Yeah. And, and I did like 2 searches on this because the first one that I came up with, I forgot to put the word national in because it was important to make sure that these were nationally recognized holidays. And the first one I read had pretty much all the same things that this one did, which was actually even more appalling because it's like, are you kidding me? Somebody took the time to make, National Soup Month. That's January, by the way. So just so you know, that's National Soup Month. And I expect everyone to celebrate accordingly. I will be making soup every day in January now that I know that. It's come on, it's just so silly, and it loses the impact. It degrades, things that are of importance and value, like mental health awareness, like PTSD, like Veterans Day. How about, I think we all, I think the biggest thing for me, since we started off with kind of like Black History Month, and I know there's going to be people in the comments, and the thought flashed through my mind too briefly of what about White History Month? Why not have a white month? And and I kind of like dismissed that just as quickly, because to be honest with you, what is white even? I'm struggling to even understand this term of whiteness. Like, I'm, by appearance I'm white, but I'm half Hispanic, so what? It's like, enough already, where if you're
Somebody else
born in
like
this
you.
country. Go
There's
ahead.
somebody else like you, Mrs. Baldwin.
Oh, that's right. My bestie,
Mrs.
Hilaria.
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 Yes. Hilaria
Yeah.
Hilaria Baldwin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
This
is,
one.
by the way, Hillary. Your name is Hillary.
So honestly, when I threw the whole petrodollar thing at
Mhm.
Elsa, and she was like, "What?" She threw the Alec Baldwin reality show at me, and I had the exact same reaction. I was like, "What?" So
Yeah.
the I think everybody is aware. Most people are aware, whether you pay attention or not. I mean, he is still in legal, processes for the
Yeah.
death of that, young lady, um,
Hmm.
on set where he was an executive producer, and oh, by the way,
Right.
the actor in the scene that pulled the trigger that ended up
The one
killing
that
this
pulled the
woman,
trigger.
right?
Yeah.
So he's still up on charges for involuntary manslaughter, and at the same time, is it TLC? I think it's
Yes.
TLC.
TLC. It
TLC
is.
has just announced the Baldwins reality show. I
Ugh.
can't, like, when when the incident happened, okay, when
Hmm.
when that shooting happened, I was with my best friend, and I've said this before. He's a Hollywood guy. He works in the industry, right? We were together. We were at an auto auction and just having a boys' weekend and hanging out. And the news broke, and we did exactly what we normally do, right? His brain went to the industry and everything that he knows about TV and movie sets and everything that could have
Hmm.
gone wrong in the processes, right? My head went
Right.
to all the mechanical gun stuff, like how did this happen? What type of gun was it?
Hmm.
And is this preventable? Was it not? And, all the conditions of mechanical failure and all that stuff. So we went
Right.
back and forth for a day and a half before we went separate ways. And this is, it's a couple of years ago. And,
Right.
and it was horrific when it happened then. And this
Yeah, it
is
was.
still going on. And none of it is, it's only partially settled.
Hmm.
But who is the idiot executive at TLC that thought that this was a good idea?
Right. Like the whole process of this, that these people, the Baldwins, first of all, they are the most garbage human beings. I mean, they really are. They are so self-serving. I think Alec Baldwin is one of the biggest pieces of garbage
Yep.
that I've ever had to witness. He is such a lousy human being, and that for me goes back to his treatment of law enforcement. That is for me, and I don't even know if I can get through this
Water?
whole segment without swearing about him, because I think if given the opportunity, I'd punch him straight in the face. I just got all Robert De Niro on you. I punch him in the face.
Wasn't that him that was like drunk on the floor, talking to it, cursing out his own daughter?
His
You
daughter,
know,
he called his daughter, his like 11-year-old daughter at the time, a ungrateful little pig,
yeah,
among other things.
it's
Yeah,
just
he is
horrific.
a vile, nasty, nasty man.
And
And
yeah, I
and,
mean, the photographs from right after the incident, right? The
mhm,
first photographs of him right after the incident, he's standing out in the desert and he's on his phone.
yeah,
I don't know this for a fact, but I know this in my heart. You know who he was talking to? His lawyer.
his lawyer,
That's who he
absolutely,
was
no
talking
question about it, no question
He
about it.
wasn't he
And
wasn't calling home. He wasn't
right,
like sick to his stomach about, because killing another human being,
right,
right? He
no, it
wasn't
was all
like
about him.
it was protection immediate.
Yes,
Call my lawyer, get my lawyer on the phone, call my
yep,
lawyer, talk to my lawyer.
oh,
Guaranteed, because like you said,
guaranteed,
horrible
yep.
human being.
Absolutely atrocious human. And this is, just further proof of that. So here's this family. The woman, I think, Helena. Let's see, do I have her name? Helena. I know her first name is Helena. But Hutchins is her last name. This woman lost her life because of his and other people's carelessness, recklessness, and
Negligence.
her husband, and I think at least one child. I don't know if they have more than one, but I know there's at least one child now will grow up motherless And this dumpster fire of a human being, while he's still going through, I don't know if it's a civil case or a criminal case, but he thinks, hey, you know what we should do? We should have a reality series with our life, about our life and our big, happy, wonderful, beautiful, joyful family, which, by the way, looks like an absolute train wreck. Yes, like 7 kids, 7 kids, all because of, Hilaria's, 100% Latin or Hispanic. I don't forget what she tries to, Spain. So yeah.
Hey.
Right. Who, by the way, she's
So-
not even, I don't think she's even an ounce Spanish, like
So-
not even a fraction.
Again, I had to research this one because I didn't know anything about the Baldwin reality show, and I had totally forgotten about that. Right. And that was like popped up right away. So back in, I think it was 2020, 2021 time frame, she forgot the word for cucumber, the English word for cucumber.
How you say, ¿cómo se dice? ¿Cómo se dice? What? Yeah.
So she's got this Spanish accent, right? Because she claims she's from Spain. She's forgotten these words in English. When people immediately afterwards, people who knew her growing up are like, her name is Hillary and she's from Boston. Like, this is total garbage. She didn't, she grew up in an American house with American parents. Nobody was speaking with a Spanish accent. This is totally made up. And then she accused everybody around her of targeting her, of going after her, of making up lies, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. This is right? This is why these two are attracted together. This is why they're
pathological narcissists, just terrible humans. And, so here's the worst part about all of this is that people will watch it. And this frustrates me to no end. And the reason why most people will watch it is because they want to see the train wreck that is their lives. Like, and they're such terrible humans that they don't care. They know how much people hate them. Like, you can't escape it. Like, people follow Alec Baldwin around with their cell phones and torment him. I don't even feel bad. Normally that would make me feel bad, even if I didn't like somebody. For him, nah, don't feel bad. Go after him. Don't care. But this is how horrible they are. They know how much people hate them. And they're like, well, they either have one of two schools of thought. One school of thought is that they're like, this is going to make everybody fall in love with us. And, this will fix our image in people's eyes and they will see we're just like them. Or they're like, I don't care, because they're going to watch it whether they hate us or love us. And we're going to make money off of this. And either way, they're trash. They're garbage. I will not watch.
There's no reality. There's no reality in reality shows. None of it. Anybody who believes that reality shows are unscripted, you're sorely, sorely mistaken. The last time, and I'm excluding sports, although there's quite a bit of sports I think that's scripted nowadays, but the last time a reality show was unscripted was the very first season of The Real World on MTV. That was it. That was the only time. That was the only time. And even some of that was scripted, but for the most part, it wasn't. And after that was the end of it. Everything since has been scripted. So
it's so crazy.
And this will be too. But
no doubt.
Let's go on a high note. Let's finish this up on a high note.
Yeah, let's.
I'm a fan. I know people get worked up about the royals, the royal family in England and all that stuff, and why should we care and all this other stuff. You know what? This lady, I pay attention to this lady for a lot of reasons. I think she is, she is the best thing that's happened to the royal family.
Absolutely.
Truthfully, since the wedding, because I think it was downhill after that, the Princess Diana Charles wedding. But Princess Catherine, she's been battling cancer. This is her first public appearance since the announcement. And it was, by all reports, her choice to do this. And the event that she decided to come out in public was Trooping of the Colors in celebration of King Charles' birthday. And now she did look thin.
Thin.
Stomach cancer. Thin. It's going to, my grandfather had stomach cancer. It's going to take her a while, right? She's going to put some weight back on, but it's going to take a while.
Right.
But what she did look was strong.
Yes.
and as beautiful and as graceful as she always does, and at the same time a great mom, right? We've all seen
Yep.
it in public in the dressiest of dress. She will put those kids in line,
Yeah.
right? She's still a
Yes.
mom, right?
She is still a
Um,
mom.
but I think it's amazing. I applaud her. I'm very
Same.
happy for that family. I know a lot of people don't care, but
Right.
I think it's an amazing thing that she decided to come back into the public eye as quickly as she did. And to me, truthfully, she looks fabulous.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on all points, all points. And again, I'll echo that. To your point, yes, a lot of people have a lot of things to say about the royal family. I totally get that. There's, been plenty of stuff, in the conspiracy theory
Yeah.
realm of things said, not about her specifically at all. Maybe about William. I think there's always all kinds of things being said, affairs, blah, 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 all the stuff and things. I am choosing to set all of that aside and just say, look at this beautiful, elegant woman, mother, future queen, the whole works. And I just give her just tons of credit, tons of props for being just such a pillar of elegance and timeless beauty and all of the things that we're kind of really sorely lacking in this world. And I think for me, and I won't speak for you, I think for me that's a little bit of the affection that I have. And I think it was the same thing in a lot of ways with Princess Diana. She just was this elegant, beautiful, yet seemingly down to earth, approachable woman, and she gives that same energy and knowing how they lost their mother, and it's pretty amazing to witness his choice in a wife that embodies that same type of elegance. I mean, I'll say it again and again: elegant, just so elegant. And same. Wish her a full and complete recovery as soon as possible. You think of those kids all the time. Anytime there's kids involved, no matter who they are, whether it's somebody up the street or somebody on the world stage like that, you just pull for them. So that was really nice to see. And again, whether you like the royals or not, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. And again, it's she is she's what we all want in visible world leadership, in some form or fashion, and her husband as well. His brother, who I had a lot of time for a very long time because of his service. And the things that he sacrificed and did, and then one bad choice and all of that goes out the window. But those two, William and Kate, I think are they kind of give everybody, especially within the kingdom, they give everybody a little bit more pride and a little bit more. It's not so much of a soap opera, I think, with the two of them around, which I think is awesome. I think it's good. It's good for the world, actually. I think for that kind of image to be out there and for her to be at the forefront is fantastic. So very, very happy to see her up and around.
Same. Absolutely. See, guys, we're not all doom and gloom and terrible things happening in the world. There's a bright note to end the show. And we should probably make a point of doing that every week. We should make a point of ending on like a really bright note. Let's do that. Want to do that?
We'll make sure we do it. I'm the doom and gloom guy, so you got to go on the high side.
All right, I will be. Clay's going to be doom and gloom. I'm going to be hearts and flowers and sunshine.
Perfect.
When I'm not threatening to punch people in the face, There's your sunshine. Oh man. All right, guys. You know the deal. We love hearing from you. We love chit-chatting with you in the comments. So make sure you share your thoughts with us. And we always look forward to spending our time with you guys. And Clay, as usual, go ahead and send them off.
Hey folks, as always from me, and it's going to become more and more of a relevant topic, but keep moving, keep shooting.
Yes, indeed. All right, guys, take care. We'll see you next week.